welcome to Europa Universalis 5, and yes, I do mean just all of it, because we are getting the final, I believe, release version of the map finally showed to us. This is the final of the Tinto maps, and I know I haven't been doing many of the Tinto map updates as of lately, but this is the last one, and it is the whole map, and we get a lot of information in here. So I thought it might be a good idea to do a last one. Unfortunately, the size of the monitor used to capture this image was not the size of a cinema screen. So if we zoom in, we're losing quite a bit of quality. But even so, I mean, it's very nice. It's obviously very nice. And I can't wait to show it actually in game properly. That's going to be a great day. But yeah, we have finally gotten the full map and a special edition of Tinto maps. So let's have a read through and see what information we can glean from this. So, very special edition of Tinto Map series, as it is the last one written by, of course, Pavia. We started more than 16 months ago, pretty much as an experiment, but that both Johan and I wanted to be a companion of Tinto Talks, with 3 clear objectives in mind. Start sharing with you some of the content of the game, Project Caesar. It's never going to go away. This name has become very, present, because all of the games that Paradox makes, right, have these code names. Project Aurelia's, Project Nero is probably one of them. I don't know. I don't remember all of them. But generally, we have not been shown these games until they are announced properly with the proper names and all of that. So EU5 is the first game that we've had, the name Project Caesar or one of their code names just completely at the forefront of the minds for almost a year. So yeah, this is never going away. We're never going to forget that for sure. But yeah, to show it in an earlier development stage, to gather as much feedback as possible, and to make as many changes and fixes based on that feedback as possible. As a matter of comparison, we have the first world map version from the 6th of January. And I'm going to do a little comparison. So, this is the current day version, and this is the previous version from the 6th of January. I think one thing you notice immediately is the colors are a lot brighter in the older version, and I feel like we may end up getting a lot of map mods that add a bit more color back into the game, because I do kind of like that, there's a little bit more color here. Sometimes that's nice. But again, when I'm playing it, I'm not really missing the vibrance at all, so it is what it is. I think the biggest things that you can say that have changed here is, well, for starters, the addition of a gajillion tribes in southern China that just weren't there before. Various different border changes as well. Of course, the Saharan corridors are very much changed. The addition of the Iroquois, of course. The loss of a few of the tags in Madagascar turned into tiny ULM Ulms, and maybe a bunch of Society of Pops as well. But yeah, there's been quite a few changes for sure. Of course, Wales got broken up into a lot of different Welsh. There's one principality, and then there's a bunch of Marcher lords. But yeah, I think that they've done a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. Pretty good job. I honestly think that the results speak for themselves. More than 60 developer posts, some dozen thousands of replies to them from the community, which they have read all of them, unless you wrote them, a few hours ago. Thousands, very likely also dozens of thousands, of fixes and changes made to EU5 by the devs. They are very proud and happy with the process and how it's developed, and they also hope that we're not only satisfied with it, but have also enjoyed it. One thing I will notice, there was a YouTube short that showed off a little bit of the Teutonic Orderlands, and people on Reddit went a little bit hyper-aggressive over the placement of the city of Danzig. Or Gdansk. It's Danzig in the game at the start of the game, whatever. So they know They know. It was reported with the typical look. They're having a Reddit moment on the creator Discord. The devs have seen it. They're aware of it, and I'm sure it will be changed before release. So don't worry about that. But yeah, I'm perfectly satisfied, and I have also enjoyed it. So yeah, it's been great for me. I honestly think, both as content design lead for the team and as a doctor in medieval history, that thanks to this great feedback and the work the team has put into it, we've made together the most detailed and accurate map ever for a grand strategy game. And I think this is undeniable. Absolutely undeniable. No other Paradox game, because let's be honest, they're the only ones doing proper grand strategy games, comes close. It just doesn't come close. They have done a phenomenal job. We're aware that more fixes, changes, and improvements could be done to the map and the setup. We'll do our best to cover as many as possible for the release of the game on the 4th of November, but after having spent more than 10 man-years, that is, combining all the work hours spent by each developer who worked on the map, the total amount of time spent, he can tell us that they could spend more and more years just trying to make it perfect, and they'd never finish it. So, as a matter of fact, we have some stats about the game and the setup. 28,570 locations compared to 2,500 in EU4 1.0 and 4,500 in EU4 137. That's crazy that they almost doubled the amount of provinces in EU4's lifestyle. Imagine if they did the same kind of growth here. We'd end up with like 40,000 locations, which would be too much. There are 1,523 settled countries compared to 970 in EU4. There's 149 building-based countries compared to 0 in EU4. 450 societies of pops, which is, you know what, the less said, we'll say about as much as them as they have content, which is nothing. Let's move on. 672 different terrain combinations. So you got your climate, your topography, and your vegetation, and the way that they combine 672 different types compared to the 16 terrain types in EU4. There are 2,083 cultures compared to 367 in EU4. 513 languages. 294 religions compared to 27 in EU4. I feel like this was a little disingenuous because a lot of these religions are kinda samey to the one just down the road. These generally have way more mechanical diversity. I mean, I would say that there are more than 27 religions in EU5 that do have mechanical diversity. But yeah, it is what it is. There are 121 markets. This is irrelevant as a number because, of course, you can add new ones. You can, at the start of the game, say you're playing as Scotland, click the Create Market button, and boom, start the game. There's now 122 markets. So yeah, the fact that they can grow and decline and be deleted and moved as well, like if you go to war with somebody, say you're playing as Milan, you go to war with Genoa, you can steal their trade node and move it to Milan. Or move their market center, sorry, not their trade node. So, absolutely fantastic. And the total population of the world, 426,350,077 pops. Absolutely giga-based. I love it. Population is like the part of this game that I am so much like. It is the best part of this game. It is the best part of this game, and the reason why this game is going to just completely dominate the next, decade of grand strategy. The pop system is phenomenal, for sure. But anyway, therefore, we now think it's time for you, the players, to play and enjoy the map when the game comes out, and keep giving feedback and reports to us, so we rely on our usual improving process, making as many iterations and improvements as possible for the game after its release. So, with no further ado, thank you very much, and we'll have some more maps. So, starting off, of course, we've just seen it, but we have the countries map. It's gorgeous. I mean, I haven't even dipped a millimeter of my toenail into playing the game yet. I have 280 something hours, and a lot of my time has been spent in this small region here, and I've very rarely gone outside of it. But I am looking forward to exploring all different regions of the world. I want to play, and there's no way I'm going to be playing everything because, as we've just seen, there are quite a few. countries to play. But yeah, no, there's a lot here. There's so much, and like I said, I just said I've spent, and I'll get the actual number up, 284 hours, and I have played properly now, not just jumping in for a little moment and then, you know, jumping out again, right? A proper playthrough where I've actually spent time and gone through actual years playing the country. Wales, of course, the most recent one. The Empire of the Romans, done that a couple of times. Naples, Sicily, Milan, Florence. Yeah, I like Italy. Shoot me. Bohemia, and I think that's it. Actually, did I say England? I probably should have said England. But yeah, I've done that in 284 hours, and there's still more to play. Obviously, there's still more to play. I've barely scratched the surface of what to play. So just imagine what I can do in the next 284 hours, or the 500 after that, or, you know, I have 10,000 hours in EU4. I feel like I could definitely break that with EU5. Just playing vanilla. There's so much to play. But anyway, we have the Dynasties map, so you can see all of the various dynasties in the game. There are some differences, of course, with this versus what you will get when you play the game, because some of these dynasties are not set at the start of the game. Some of them are randomly generated. I can't say which ones there are, because obviously if they're large enough to be visible from this zoom level, then of course they are almost certainly going to be, set in stone. But yeah, I also like that we can see the differences on the Anjou dynasty. So the ones in Naples, Danjui, and then the ones in Hungary are dropping the D Anjui. So it's, yeah, they're the same dynasty, but they're different based on the country that they're in, which is really nice to see. Very, very cool indeed. Very, very nice to see. Next up, we have the army-based countries, which are, of course, your hordes. If they lose their entire army, their country essentially just explodes into lots and lots of little tags. It used to be very, very border gory, and we could often see things like Bulgaria and the Pope owning land all the way over here. But in my Wales game, which is, of course, the most recent game that I can give examples of, it's way, way better. It's way less awful, right? A lot of it is area-based or province-based new hordes that have popped up. But yeah, very cool in there. We have the building-based countries, and this is where there is a little bit of a thing to talk about. So, of course, we have I think it was 144, 145 building-based countries that are in Japan alone, and then we have things like the Hansa, we have the Bardi Bank, the Peruzzi Bank, we have the Fuggers Bank, and what else do we have? The Medici Bank eventually. But a lot of these building-based countries, it's essentially just a whole ton of Japan. And I'm gonna have to scroll it over. Spain is notably missing any of these because, unfortunately, they have had to remove the Iberian Holy Orders. It's just something that they have had to do. And here is that comment. Matfer asking, what happened to the Iberian Holy Orders? We had a final test of them, and we noticed that the quality of their gameplay was not good enough for release. As we scoped that we didn't have the time and resources to make them work as they should, up to our standards of quality, we've commented them out from setup, and the Iberian countries are getting some resources from their stronghold and commandery buildings instead. It's a harsh decision, but sometimes you need to take them when you're wrapping up for a big release. The current plan is to revamp them and make them playable again next year with the free patch that will come with the Across the Pillars DLC. And again, this is important, to make it entirely clear, they will re-add them as the free patch, right? You do not need the Across the Pillars DLC to play as the Iberian Holy Orders when they are added. That will be in the free patch area. My thoughts on this essentially are that it is a good thing, right? If they are not up to scratch, and I think there are other building-based countries that I feel this way as well about. If they're not up to scratch, it shouldn't be something that is put out of the door on release, because that will just completely kill any perception of this way of playing, right? If these Iberian Holy Orders were added to the game on release, and they were added in a way that was undercooked, unfinished, unloved, and undeserved, then people playing them would think, oh, well, fuck these guys. Like, Paradox of undercooked their game and blah, blah, blah. Whereas if they can... Because let's be perfectly real here, they are not an essential part of the game for it to function, right? The building-based countries are a way of playing the game that is not the norm. I don't think it is the biggest loss. Of course, it'd be nice to have them back in, and it will be nice when they are ready. But I'm glad that they're making the decision to cut it before it becomes a mistake, right? So yeah, I look forward to seeing them when they've got, they've had their due diligence rather than just, average diligence on it. Anyway, moving onwards from the building-based countries, we have the pop-based countries, and this is, look, everything I just said about the building-based country of the Holy Orders kind of applies here as well, and I suppose it kind of already is applying, because these are not playable, right? They're just on the map, but they're not playable, and there's really nothing going on with them. Having played a bunch, I can say that I just don't feel their presence. They are here on a map mode if you desire and choose to click on the map mode, but otherwise they are just not a thing that is present in any meaningful way in the game, in my experience. Look, that's not going to be the case forever. It just isn't. I truly think that they are going to be worked on and made playable in some regard at some point. And Paradox believes this as well. Fox saw making a comment about, the lack of tags in Australia and the Americas versus EU4. And Pavi's response here is something that they'll definitely want to have in the future is playable pop-based countries, the Societies of Pops. However, they don't want to make any hard commitments about it, as it's a tricky problem to solve, which will require hard work from their end. And that's entirely fair enough, right? It's just like the army-based countries, but they realized this before saying that they would ever be playable. So, yeah, okay, fair enough at that point. Fair enough if they are in that kind of situation that they are not playable and that they can make them playable at a later date, then that's the best situation for me. I have no real desire to play them, but you know what? I will give them a try when they are made playable, when they've had a DLC or when they've had a patch that is dedicated to making them playable. I'll give them a try. Of course I will. But yeah, making them playable now in a completely nothing burger state is not the way, and would honestly lead to more problems than it's worth. But moving on from the pop-based countries, we have the country ranks. Essentially, we've got kingdoms, we've got kingdoms, duchies, counties, and the purple ones are empires. So empires, there's not a whole lot of them. As you can probably tell from this map, Mali is no longer a country that spreads all over the place. It is now just the little empire and a lot of county-level vassals. We also have, I think this is the Kanem Empire, Ethiopian Empire, of course, the Roman Empire, the Japanese Empire, and the Qing, not Qing, freaking, what are they called? Is it Qing? No, it's not Qing. It's the Yuan. I completely blanked. Yuan Empire. I think this is, it's not Dive yet. It's someone else. Let's go back to the countries map. No, it's not colored in. Either way, it's, I believe it's Dive yet. I don't recall entirely. But either way, there's your country ranks map mode. Of course, there's a bunch of duchies as well in there and a bunch of kingdoms and, a whole nice spread of different vibes there. Moving on, though, we have the country types. Many monarchies. Republics are relatively sparse outside of northern Italy, a bit of Germany, and Novgorod. Steppe hordes are, just in the Central Asian area. and then a whole lot of tribes, especially in Ireland, is like the last European holdout of the tribe. But very cool. Moving on, we have the locations map mode, and yeah, I think is beautiful. You can tell where their mouse was at the time. I am a fan of not having this thing on. So basically, what's happening here and why we can see the text here is because there is a setting in the game that when you have your mouse over an area, the location names pop up in that area. And so when you're moving your mouse around, the names, like, they'll just be here and they start appearing here, and I don't like it. But you can turn that off and have the location names always visible, based on your zoom level, of course. And then there's also the highlighting of an area when you've got your mouse over it, which is another thing that I find a little bit off-putting, but I haven't seen a setting to turn that one off yet. But either way, very nice, very nice, very nice. We have the provinces map mode as well. There are certain things here that are a little bit awkward, let's say. Of course, again, I'm going back to my Wales game because it's the most recent game I've played. There are provinces in England that have 2 locations in them, which is not a lot. It's very, very small, and I think would probably be better if they were merged with other provinces, because it is a straight nerf to have a small amount of locations in a province, because you have your cabinet actions that work on the province level, and if they're only working on 2 locations versus, say, you're in India and you have various provinces in here with like 18 locations in them, you can see that there's a little bit of a disparity there. Still, just a wee little bit of a disparity, and yeah, it is a little bit of a nerf to. I think England has it the worst that I've seen, but yeah, I would hope that would change just a little bit. We also have the areas map mode. Until you're like an empire or in the late game, areas map mode really doesn't mean a whole lot. I also noticed that they have tried to do a little bit of changing in the Americas. Like, these straight lines have become a little bit wiggly, which, I mean, good, but also, is it enough? They're just a little bit wiggly now. Okay. Honestly, that's probably for the best. Like, now we're kind of splitting the difference between what people who agree that, you know, natural borders and wiggly lines are best, and those who are wrong. So now we've just split the difference between us. It's kind of great. But yeah, that's that one. And the climate map mode is next. You can definitely see the temperate. You can see your Mediterranean climate. I can't remember all the names of different ones, but it's very nice to see it. Very nice to see it. There are more maps, I'm sure. That's not the last one. Here we go. We have our topography map. Lots of flatlands all across there. We got hills in brown, mountains in deeper brown. The various types of sea zone locations, so deep water. There is an advance that you can get in the Age of Discovery that lets you explore over deep water. So you need it to get the explorations going over here. I'm not sure if you can go around here. I'm not sure if that's a thing that you can do. It doesn't look possible on this map, but you know, it's got a harsh cutoff here, and I don't believe that's realistic. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's possible, but for me as Wales, I needed to get that advance before I could start exploring in like Newfoundland and Labrador, etc. We have the vegetation map mode. You know, you've got your grasslands, your woodlands, your forests, deserts, etc., jungles, and all of that. But these kind of systems are really essential for basically how many pops could you fit in a location, what kind of development can you get in that location. That's what these are really, really impactful for. But also things like your topography and your vegetation both affect defender dice roll. So if you are having a fight, a woodland or a forested mountain is worse than just a mountain, you know, in a plain. So definitely there is more diversity in how you need to fight. It's not just, oh, there's a mountain, so I'm going to put a fort there. You know, a forested hill might be, you know, worse than a mountain in some cases. We have the dangers map, which is essentially, are we going to be getting Volcanoes, that is the darker red spots. Obviously, we got Mount Etna, we got Krakatoa, got all those kind of ones going on. And the orange ones are for earthquakes. These suck, right? These absolutely suck ass. In my Roman campaign, I had my army stood in Constantinople, and then Constantinople suffered an earthquake, and the majority of my army just perished. I went from like 24,000 troops to like 500 men because of an earthquake. It was vile. So yeah, they are impactful, and you really should pay attention to this, because if it hits at the wrong time, you're gonna feel it, and you're not gonna be happy. We have the harbors, natural harbors map. I really like this one, and it's very, very important for me when I'm planning cities, especially if I am a country that doesn't have a whole lot of cities. So, say you're starting as Wales and you're building new cities all across your conquered England territories. I generally try to place them in the areas that have high harbor suitability, so that I can really make use of those cities, because I'll have lower proximity, or sorry, higher proximity, better proximity. I forget if it's higher or lower, but better proximity based on how easy it is for my boats to dock in the city. So it's very, very important. That's why I moved my capital to Pembroke, which is the southern tip of Wales that's green there. But yeah, very, very important map mode for sure. We have the development map mode as well, and development is huge in the game. It determines how much, proximity and development are like a 1-to-1 at the moment. So if you have 50 development, you have like 50 reduction in proximity cost. I don't know if that's going to get nerfed. It maybe should, but it really makes a huge, huge difference. And you can see, India and China are the absolute kings of development at this period. Also, northern Italy and the Low Countries are really, really good. But yeah, this is going to be a very competitive map mode, I feel, in multiplayer. At least that's what I would like to see. But yeah, we have a couple of other ones. We have location ranks. If you are a city, they're in yellow. A town is in gray, and then the rest of the world is obviously in rural. Cultures map mode. There are so many cultures, and they do play a big part. So definitely don't go sleeping on this one. For sure, it is way more valuable to you if you take land that is of your culture, because you will not be able to full core somewhere unless it is majority your culture or accepted culture. Of course, you can tolerate and you can accept, or you can just discriminate against if that's your way. We have, of course, the culture group map mode as well. So they are all sorted into groups for I think a much more familiar looking map, if I will say so. Or at least they're a lot closer. Obviously, all of India being in one Indian culture group is obviously not what EU4 is like, but yeah, no, it's very cool to see that. Culture groups as well are strange, because some cultures can be in multiple culture groups. So, for example, the Flanders area here is like, that color is halfway in between French and halfway in between it's got a name that I forget the name of, but the one where the Netherlands are. That culture there looks like it's halfway in between both, because it is a part of both culture groups. Scotland is a part of a couple of culture groups as well, the British and the Celtic. We've got plenty of examples of that. The Swiss lands are halfway between French and German, so we're getting that situation there. Yeah, some cultures can just be part of multiple culture groups. That's just how it works, and I think that's really cool. Language families as well. We've got a bunch of Slavic, Romance, Germanic, Celtic, Indic, Iranic, Turkic, Uralic, etc., etc. Like, language groups are pretty huge there as well. Specific languages are all around the place as well. Yeah, I see that they've removed the Severian one that a lot of people were complaining about. So that one's gone, and now it is Ruthenian. Very nice. We have our dialects, so every language is split up into various dialects. So yeah, France got a bunch, Germany's got a bunch, and it's basically everything has been split up, which is also kind of nice. Have we got more? We've got There are so many maps. Court languages. Obviously, England is currently having Norman dialect as its court language, but the court language is showing, unfortunately, the language rather than the dialect. I think it shouldn't. I think it should show the dialect itself. But it doesn't really make too much of a difference, and England will switch over to English through an event relatively quickly. We have the religion map mode. I really want religion to play more of a part in the version of the game that we have. Or I don't know if it's in right now because I haven't played in a country that has mixed religions, but I know that we were told at a certain point in the creator Discord that religion would end up being necessary for cores as well. So needing more than 50% of the location to be of your religion to be added as a full core, which is making lands like around the borders between religions very, very much more difficult to control, difficult to get that full coreage on, which is very, very important for control. So yeah, that's a change that's happened. Raw materials map. This is going to be complete, noise. You just can't make anything out of this. But you have some noise, some static for you. There you go. But I mean, it's nice to see when you're zoomed in, of course. We have the markets, and they've changed it. They've changed it. This was not the case in the version of the game that I have. But now there is a market in Scotland. That was not there. That's not there in the build of the game that we have right now. So that's really cool. And I believe Iberia has also gotten a new market here as well. I don't believe Burgos was there. Maybe it was, and I'm just, like I say, I've not played down here, but I don't remember that being a case. Certainly Scotland wasn't the case. But yeah, really, really happy to see that. That's really, really cool. Yeah, other than that, I can't see too many other changes. But yeah, very nice. And then we obviously have the population map mode. If it's got a striped line, it means you are above your population limit. So if you've got each location has a maximum population, say it's 150,000. If you've got more than 150,000 pops in that location, you get a striped line, and you probably get some penalties and some such as well. But yeah, awesome looking map mode. Very, very, it's really cool to see, for sure. I believe that is the final map. It is, but there are other things. They've recovered the map mode finally, but you might notice, as we do, some places with the population densities and boundaries look off. They're aware of it. It'll be one of the main focuses of the content design team in the next few weeks. They also plan to have a separate post speaking of detailed population numbers, and they'll sync up with Alderon during the week about what they think will be useful for us to do there. Nice. There are some new maps here as well. A new map mode. I don't have this. I believe I don't have this in my game. But a tactical map mode will be kind of nice. Defensive bonus depending on climate and topography. That's actually super useful. If you can also show me on this map mode if a location has a fort or not, maybe in like blue stripes, maybe, that would be absolutely fire. I really like this map mode. Hell yeah. I want that right now. Add it to the game. Let me update my game, please. But anyway, in the future, on Monday, there will be a new series called Tinto Flags. They'll talk for a few weeks about how they've been working for them for EU5. On Wednesday, there will be 3 generic disasters. We have the Aspiration for Liberty, Court and Country, and Decline of the Empire. That's going to be a fun one to watch. There's another dev diary coming out on military and warfare, and then there will be a Tinto flavor about the Netherlands. Very nice indeed. But we, of course, have a few comments that we can go and read from the devs. Can we share a political map of each of the subcontinents, at least Europe and the Mediterranean? And also, are the Chobanids a horde or monarchy? They are army-based. So here we have some more zoomed-in maps, if you so desire. Like I said, the map at this zoom level is more what you're going to be experiencing. Although, I will say, when I've been playing Wells, my map is zoomed to about there. I can see the bottom of Cornwall sometimes, and I can see, like, the Isle of Man sometimes. This is basically all I'm looking at. But I think it looks really good at this zoom level. But I'll just scan through these, of course, because they are gorgeous and they deserve it. And like I said, a bagajillion Chinese vassals of the Great Yuan. But very cool indeed. And if you can spot any new changes, then good for you. I can't. Culture group map, they don't have a map mode for it. They do. He ended up showing it, and then we've already seen it because they added it to the main post. But they're also kind of zoomed in here as well, so you can see the various culture groups. And yeah, as I was saying, the merger of various culture groups into one, and you get a color between like Polish and Czech, and then you got the Silesians, etc., etc. So there's a lot of cases of that, which is kind of nice. And then even closer again, if you so desire. Very nice indeed. Mali, as I said in the main post, is no longer large. They are now small, but they've got a lot of vassals, which kind of helps them as well. And then there was new locations being added about China and the Black Sea. Basically, when we got our game update, if we loaded an older save, we saw these, black voids variously in China and around Crimea. And yeah, basically that was the new locations were added. So this is the new one. I can't tell you what it's compared to the old one, but whatever. And then China looks like this now. And yeah, cool stuff. Anyway, that's all I have for you for today. Tinto Mappies. I'm like I say, I'm really happy with the game. I've been playing it a ton, and I will be playing it a ton more. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So if you want to, pick the game up, I have a link in the pinned comment and also in the description where you can pick up the game using my referral code, and I get a little bit of a cut of the sale. It's a great way to help me out, help out the channel if you so desire. If you don't, that's also cool. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode of me talking about this game that we're all hyped about. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.